The morning of July 14th, 2024, began like any other summer day in London, but, by afternoon, it would become one of the most talked-about fashion moments in Wimbledon history. Catherine, Princess of Wales, had been notably absent from the public eye for months while undergoing cancer treatment, making her appearance at the men's singles final all the more significant. As her car approached the All-England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club, photographers and spectators alike held their breath, wondering what she would choose to wear for her triumphant return to one of her most beloved sporting events. The tennis world had been buzzing with speculation about whether Catherine would attend at all. As patron of the All-England Club since 2016, she had never missed presenting the winner's trophy at the championship finals, except for her absence in 2013 when she was expecting Prince George. The tournament organizers had prepared contingency plans, but, deep down, everyone hoped the princess would make her appearance. Her love for tennis was well documented, having grown up playing the sport herself, and maintaining an impressive standard of play even after joining the royal family. When Catherine finally emerged from her vehicle, the collective intake of breath was almost audible throughout center court. She had chosen a stunning dress in the most regal shade of purple imaginable, a color that would later be analyzed by fashion experts and royal watchers for its symbolic significance. The dress, crafted by London-based designer Sophia, was everything one might expect from a princess returning to public life after a challenging personal period. The vibrant lilac hue caught the afternoon sunlight beautifully, creating an almost ethereal glow around her figure as she made her way through the club's corridors. The choice of purple was no accident, fashion historians would later note. This particular shade had deep connections to royalty, dating back to the Roman Empire when purple dye was so expensive that only emperors could afford it. Throughout history, purple had remained the color of nobility, power, and dignity. For Catherine to choose this color for her return to public life sent a clear message about her strength and resilience in the face of personal adversity. The color also happened to complement one of Wimbledon's official colors, the deep purple found in the tournament's century-old logo, making her choice both personally meaningful and perfectly appropriate for the venue. The dress itself was a masterclass in elegant design. Known as the Cecilia style from Sophia's collection, it featured subtle cap sleeves that provided coverage while still looking fresh and modern for the warm July weather. The bodice was crafted with intricate pleated cross detailing that created a flattering silhouette, while the skirt fell to a sophisticated midi length that swayed gracefully as she walked. The designer had made subtle modifications to the original design, raising the neckline to create a more modest silhouette that was perfectly appropriate for the formal nature of the championship finals. As Catherine took her seat in the royal box, the entire crowd of 15,000 spectators rose to their feet in a spontaneous standing ovation that lasted several minutes. The applause was thunderous, echoing around the famous venue in a way that even seasoned Wimbledon veterans said they had rarely experienced. It was clear that this was about much more than tennis or fashion. It was a moment of collective relief and celebration that their beloved princess had returned to them, looking radiant and confident despite the challenges she had faced. The princess appeared visibly moved by the warm reception, her eyes glistening with emotion as she acknowledged the crowd with graceful waves. She was accompanied by her 9-year-old daughter, Princess Charlotte, who looked adorable in a white dress with navy blue polka dots, and her sister Pippa Middleton, who had chosen a delicate pink floral dress for the occasion. The three generations of women created a picture-perfect tableau in the royal box, each complementing the others while maintaining their individual style personalities. Throughout the match between defending champion Novak Djokovic and young challenger Carlos Alcaraz, Catherine's purple dress continued to capture attention. Every time the cameras panned to the royal box, viewers around the world were treated to glimpses of her animated reactions to the tennis action. Her genuine enthusiasm for the sport was evident in every expression, from nail-biting tension during long rallies to pure joy when witnessing exceptional shot-making. The purple fabric seemed to shimmer under the television lights, creating a visual anchor that drew the eye whenever she appeared on screen. Fashion experts watching from around the globe immediately began analyzing every detail of the look. The dress retailed for approximately £1,295, making it a significant investment piece, though not unreasonably expensive by royal standards. The London-based Sophia brand, founded by Daniela Karnitz, had previously dressed other high-profile women, including Meghan Markle during her time as a working royal, supermodel Gigi Hadid, and actress Viola Davis. However, Catherine had only worn the brand once before, making this choice particularly noteworthy. The accessories Catherine chose to complement the dress were equally thoughtful. She wore elegant gold hoop earrings by the contemporary jewelry brand by Pariah, which added a modern touch without overwhelming the dress's sophisticated lines. Her hair was styled in a relaxed side parting that framed her face beautifully, while her makeup was kept natural and glowing, emphasizing her healthy complexion and bright eyes. She carried a small nude-colored box bag that provided the perfect neutral accent to the bold dress, and wore nude slingback pumps by Camilla Elphick that elongated her legs while remaining comfortable for the long day of tennis watching. As the match reached its climax, with young Alcaraz ultimately defeating the veteran Djokovic in a thrilling encounter, Catherine prepared for one of her most important ceremonial duties. The moment when she would present the championship trophy was always a highlight of the Wimbledon finals, but this year carried extra significance given her absence from public life. When Alcaraz sealed his victory with a powerful serve, Catherine rose from her seat with visible emotion, knowing that she was about to participate in one of tennis's most prestigious traditions after months of uncertainty about her health and future royal duties. The purple dress would later be remembered as more than just a beautiful garment. It became a symbol of resilience, hope, and the continuity of royal traditions even in the face of personal challenges. Social media exploded with admiration for both the dress and the woman wearing it, with fashion bloggers and royal fans alike praising Catherine's choice as both stylistically perfect and emotionally resonant. The image of her in that purple dress, standing to applaud Alcaraz's victory while the crowd continued to shower her with affection, would become one of the defining photographs of the 2024 Wimbledon Championships. That evening, as news outlets around the world featured the purple dress on their front pages and fashion websites dissected every element of the look, it was clear that Catherine had achieved something remarkable. She had returned to public life not with tentative steps, but with a confident stride in a dress that announced her presence beautifully. The purple Sophia dress had become an instant classic, proving once again that sometimes the most meaningful fashion statements are those that combine personal significance with perfect timing and impeccable style. In the summer of 2023, Catherine found herself facing a very different kind of spotlight at Wimbledon. Unlike the previous year when she had made multiple appearances throughout the fortnight, this time her schedule was more selective, making each outfit choice carry additional weight. The tennis world was entering a new era, with younger players beginning to challenge the established champions, and Catherine seemed to embrace this spirit of renewal with her fashion choices that year, particularly with one dress that would become legendary among Wimbledon fashion watchers. The dress in question was an emerald green creation by Roland Mouret, a designer known for his sculptural approach to women's clothing and his ability to create garments that celebrated the female form while maintaining an air of sophistication. Catherine had worked with Mouret on previous occasions, but never for such a high-profile sporting event. The choice of green was particularly striking because it paid direct homage to Wimbledon itself, matching the famous grass courts that made the tournament unique among tennis's Grand Slams. The emerald midi dress featured clean lines and a modern silhouette that was both timeless and contemporary. The color was so perfectly chosen that when Catherine walked across the club grounds, she seemed to blend seamlessly with the manicured lawns while simultaneously standing out as a beacon of elegant style. The fabric had a subtle sheen that caught the natural light beautifully, creating depth and richness that made the color appear almost jewel-like under the summer sun. What made this particular appearance so memorable was not just the dress itself, but the way Catherine wore it with complete confidence. She had arrived with her children, Prince George and Princess Charlotte, both dressed in complementary colors that created a harmonious family portrait without looking overly coordinated. The sight of the three of them walking together towards center court, with Catherine's green dress flowing gracefully in the gentle breeze, created one of the most picture-perfect family moments in recent royal history. The green dress represented a departure from some of Catherine's more traditional Wimbledon choices. While she had always favored classic silhouettes and sophisticated colors, this particular shade was bolder than her usual palette, signaling perhaps a new confidence in her role as Princess of Wales. The color choice also demonstrated her deep understanding of the event's traditions and her respect for the venue's unique character. Green was not just an aesthetic choice. It was a sartorial love letter to the grass courts that made Wimbledon special. Fashion critics noted how the dress's construction flattered Catherine's figure perfectly. The midi length was ideal for the formal nature of the royal box, while remaining practical for a day spent watching tennis. The sleeves were elegantly proportioned, providing coverage that was appropriate for a senior royal while still feeling fresh and modern. The neckline was conservative yet flattering, striking the perfect balance between royal protocol and contemporary style. Throughout the day, as Catherine watched the matches unfold, the green dress proved to be an inspired choice in terms of both style and practicality. The color didn't show wrinkles or creases as easily as lighter shades might have, allowing her to maintain her polished appearance throughout the long day of tennis viewing. The fabric's quality was evident in how it draped and moved with her, creating elegant lines whether she was sitting, standing, or walking. The accessories Catherine chose to complement the green dress were equally thoughtful. She wore understated jewelry that allowed the dress to remain the focal point while adding just enough sparkle to catch the light when the cameras focused on the royal box. Her hair was styled in a way that showcased the dress's neckline while remaining appropriate for the formal nature of the event. The overall effect was one of effortless elegance that made her look both accessible and aspirational. What struck many observers was how the green dress seemed to enhance Catherine's natural enthusiasm for tennis. The color brought out the brightness in her eyes and seemed to reflect her genuine excitement for the sport. Every reaction, from tense moments during close games to celebratory applause for exceptional shots, seemed more vivid against the backdrop of that emerald fabric. It was as if the dress had been designed specifically to showcase her personality and passion for tennis. The Roland Mouret green dress also represented Catherine's continued support for British designers, something that had become increasingly important in her public role. By choosing a British designer for such a prominent appearance, she was not only showcasing excellent design, but also supporting the domestic fashion industry. This choice resonated particularly well with the British public, who appreciated seeing their future queen supporting homegrown talent on such a prestigious international stage. As the day progressed, and the matches intensified, the green dress continued to photograph beautifully from every angle. Whether captured in candid moments of concentration as Catherine watched particularly exciting rallies, or in more formal shots during the trophy presentation, the dress maintained its impact and elegance. The color worked perfectly with the traditional Wimbledon backdrop, creating images that felt both contemporary and timeless. The success of the emerald green dress was also measured by its impact on fashion trends. Within hours of Catherine's appearance, fashion websites and social media were flooded with searches for similar green dresses, and several high street brands quickly moved to create inspired versions for their customers. The specific shade of green became known among fashion enthusiasts as Catherine Green, and appeared in numerous collections in the following seasons. Perhaps most importantly, the green dress represented Catherine's evolution as a style icon who understood the power of fashion to communicate messages and create memorable moments. This wasn't simply about wearing a beautiful dress. It was about choosing the perfect color to honor the venue, the perfect style to reflect her personality, and the perfect designer to support British fashion. The emerald Roland Mouret dress had achieved something that only the very best royal fashion moments manage. It had created a lasting image that would be remembered long after the tennis scores were forgotten. Years later, when fashion historians looked back at Catherine's most memorable Wimbledon appearances, the emerald green Roland Mouret dress would be cited as a perfect example of how the right choice could elevate an occasion from merely significant to truly memorable. It demonstrated that royal fashion at its best was about more than just looking appropriate. It was about creating moments of beauty that enhanced the entire experience for everyone present. The year 2022 marked a turning point in Catherine's Wimbledon fashion journey, not because of a single spectacular outfit, but because of her revolutionary embrace of one particular pattern that would become synonymous with her tennis-watching style. The polka dot revolution began innocently enough with what seemed like a simple choice of pattern, but it would ultimately reshape how the world viewed both royal fashion and the princess herself as a style icon. The first appearance of what would become Catherine's signature Wimbledon pattern was an azure blue dress covered in perfectly proportioned white polka dots, created by the Italian designer Alessandra Rich. The dress made its debut on Day 9 of the 2022 championships, and from the moment Catherine stepped out of her car wearing it, something magical happened. The combination of the classic pattern with modern tailoring created an effect that was both nostalgic and thoroughly contemporary, capturing the essence of timeless British style while feeling completely fresh. Alessandra Rich had become Catherine's secret weapon in the fashion world, though few people realized it at the time. The designer's aesthetic perfectly matched Catherine's evolving style preferences, combining vintage-inspired silhouettes with contemporary details that made each piece feel both familiar and surprising. The polka dot dress that would launch Catherine's pattern revolution featured a pleated front, a belted waistline, and mid-length sleeves that provided elegant coverage while maintaining a youthful energy that was perfect for the tennis setting. The azure blue color was particularly inspired, creating a fresh alternative to the navy blues and classic whites that had dominated Catherine's previous Wimbledon appearances. The shade was vibrant enough to stand out in the crowd, while remaining sophisticated enough for royal protocol. When paired with the crisp white dots scattered across the fabric like stars in a summer sky, the overall effect was one of joyful elegance that perfectly captured the spirit of the tennis tournament. What made this first polka dot appearance so significant was not just the dress itself, but the way Catherine wore it with such obvious pleasure. Her genuine enjoyment of the pattern was evident in her relaxed demeanor and bright expressions throughout the day. She seemed more animated than usual, as if the playful pattern had unlocked a more light-hearted side of her personality. This was a princess who was clearly having fun with fashion, and the world took notice. The success of the first polka dot dress led to an immediate follow-up that would cement Catherine's reputation as a master of pattern play. Just days later, she appeared at the women's finals wearing a sunshine yellow dress by Roxanda, proving that her fashion confidence was soaring to new heights. But it was her return to polka dots for the men's finals that really sent shockwaves through the fashion world. The navy blue polka dot dress she chose for the men's finals was a masterpiece of design and styling. Created once again by Alessandra Rich, this version featured a more structured silhouette with a defined peplum waist that created an hourglass shape, while the contrast between the deep navy background and bright white dots was both sophisticated and playful. The dress included subtle design details like crystal buttons and a 1980s-inspired Chelsea collar with a tie that added personality without overwhelming the classic pattern. The styling of this second polka dot dress showed Catherine's growing confidence in working with bolder patterns. She paired it with her favorite two-tone slingback pumps, also by Alessandra Rich, which featured white leather with contrasting black toes. These shoes had become something of a signature for Catherine, and their appearance alongside the polka dot dress created a cohesive look that felt both coordinated and effortless. The addition of her sapphire and diamond jewelry provided just the right amount of royal glamour without competing with the dress's inherent charm. What made Catherine's polka dot revolution so remarkable was how it challenged preconceptions about royal fashion. Traditional royal style had often favored solid colors and subtle patterns, but Catherine's enthusiastic embrace of polka dots showed that royal fashion could be both appropriate and adventurous. The pattern choice sent a message that being royal didn't mean being boring, and that tradition could coexist beautifully with personal style and contemporary fashion trends. The impact of Catherine's polka dot moment extended far beyond the tennis courts of Wimbledon. Fashion retailers reported immediate spikes in demand for polka dot clothing, with many specifically requesting pieces similar to Catherine's Alessandra Rich dresses. The pattern, which had been considered somewhat retro and limited in its appeal, suddenly became one of the most sought-after trends in women's fashion. High street brands rushed to create affordable versions of Catherine's look, making the polka dot trend accessible to women at every price point. Color psychologists weighed in on Catherine's pattern choice, explaining that polka dots conveyed playfulness, approachability, and confidence. The choice to wear such a distinctly cheerful pattern while representing the royal family at one of Britain's most prestigious sporting events showed a princess who was comfortable in her own skin and unafraid to express her personality through her clothing choices. This psychological interpretation resonated with the public, who appreciated seeing a more relaxed and relatable side of their future queen. The technical aspects of how Catherine wore polka dots also garnered attention from fashion professionals. The scale of the dots was perfectly proportioned for her frame, creating visual interest without overwhelming her petite build. The color combinations she chose worked harmoniously with her complexion and hair color, while the styling remained age-appropriate and occasion-specific. These details demonstrated that Catherine's fashion choices were not accidental but carefully considered decisions that took into account multiple factors from personal preference to public presentation. Perhaps most importantly, Catherine's polka dot revolution showed the fashion world that patterns could be every bit as powerful as solid colors in creating memorable style moments. The dresses proved that thoughtful pattern selection could convey personality, honor tradition, and create visual impact all at the same time. This lesson would influence fashion choices far beyond the royal sphere, as women everywhere began to reconsider their own relationships with pattern and print. The legacy of Catherine's polka dot revolution continued to influence her subsequent Wimbledon appearances and royal fashion choices more broadly. The success of these dresses proved that taking calculated fashion risks could pay enormous dividends in terms of public engagement and media coverage. Most importantly, they showed that royal fashion could evolve and adapt while still maintaining the dignity and appropriateness that the role demanded. As fashion historians would later note, Catherine's polka dot revolution represented a pivotal moment in modern royal style. It marked the emergence of a future queen who understood that fashion could be a powerful tool for connection and communication, and who was willing to use that understanding to create moments of joy and beauty that transcended the traditional boundaries of royal protocol. Among all of Catherine's memorable Wimbledon fashion moments, perhaps none captured the pure joy of summer tennis quite like her radiant appearance in sunshine yellow. The dress that would become synonymous with warmth, optimism, and the celebratory spirit of championship tennis first made its appearance during what many would later remember as one of the most emotionally charged Wimbledon tournaments in recent memory. The story of this particular outfit is really the story of how the right choice can transform not just how someone looks, but how an entire event feels. The yellow dress in question was a custom creation by Roksanda Ilincic, the Serbian-born, London-based designer who had become one of Catherine's most trusted collaborators for bold color statements. Known for her architectural approach to fashion and her fearless use of vibrant hues, Roksanda was the perfect choice for a princess ready to make a sunny statement at the world's most prestigious tennis tournament. The dress, officially known as the Bridget style, was a masterclass in how to use color as a mood-lifting force. The particular shade of yellow chosen was neither too bright nor too muted, striking that perfect balance between optimism and sophistication that had become Catherine's trademark. The color seemed to capture the essence of a perfect English summer day, reminiscent of sun-dappled grass courts, and the golden light that filters through the trees surrounding the All England Club. When Catherine emerged wearing this dress, she brought an instant burst of warmth to the famously unpredictable British weather that had been threatening rain throughout the tournament. The dress's construction was equally impressive, featuring clean lines that flattered Catherine's silhouette while maintaining the kind of elegant simplicity that photographs beautifully under intense media scrutiny. The midi length was perfect for the royal box, providing appropriate coverage while allowing for comfortable movement during the long hours of match watching. The sleeves were precisely proportioned to provide coverage without feeling heavy or restrictive in the summer heat, demonstrating the designer's understanding of both royal protocol and practical considerations. What made this yellow dress particularly significant was the context in which it appeared. Catherine was attending the women's singles final, a match that would see history being made regardless of the outcome. The atmosphere at Wimbledon that day was electric with anticipation, and Catherine's bright yellow dress seemed to embody the excitement and energy that filled center court. Her choice to wear such a joyful color for such an important tennis moment sent a clear message about her genuine enthusiasm for the sport and her understanding of the occasion's significance. The styling of the yellow dress showcased Catherine's growing confidence in working with statement colors. She paired it with nude accessories that allowed the dress to remain the absolute focal point of her look, including her favorite John Vito Rossi pumps in a shade that perfectly complemented her skin tone. Her jewelry was kept deliberately minimal, with delicate earrings that caught the light without competing with the dress's inherent radiance. The overall effect was one of sunshine personified, as if Catherine had managed to bottle the essence of a perfect summer day and wear it to the tennis. Perhaps most remarkably, this yellow dress had a previous life that added an extra layer of meaning to its Wimbledon appearance. The dress had originally been worn during Catherine's controversial Caribbean tour earlier that year, where it had been part of a wardrobe that faced criticism for various political and cultural reasons. By choosing to re-wear this particular piece at Wimbledon, Catherine demonstrated both her commitment to sustainable fashion practices and her ability to give new life and meaning to garments that might otherwise have been retired from public view. The transformation of the dress's narrative from controversial tour piece to beloved Wimbledon moment showed Catherine's sophisticated understanding of how fashion can be repositioned and recontextualized. At Wimbledon, surrounded by the sport she genuinely loved and In an environment where she felt completely comfortable, the yellow dress took on an entirely different character. It became a symbol of joy and celebration rather than a reminder of diplomatic complexities, proving that sometimes the right setting can completely transform how a garment is perceived. Throughout the match, Catherine's yellow dress created a visual anchor that drew the eye whenever cameras panned to the royal box. The color was so perfectly chosen that it seemed to enhance every emotion that played across her face, from tension during close rallies to pure delight when witnessing exceptional tennis artistry. The dress's ability to amplify Catherine's natural expressiveness made for compelling television viewing and created some of the most memorable images of that year's tournament. The practical aspects of the yellow dress also deserved recognition. The color choice was bold enough to create impact, but practical enough to hide any minor spills or stains that might occur during a long day of outdoor dining and drink service. The fabric's quality was evident in how it maintained its shape and color vibrancy throughout the day, looking as fresh in the evening presentations as it had during the morning arrival. These seemingly minor details demonstrated the level of thought that went into every aspect of Catherine's Wimbledon appearances. Fashion experts immediately recognized the yellow dress as a masterclass in occasion dressing. The color choice perfectly captured the celebratory nature of a Wimbledon final while remaining sophisticated enough for royal protocol. The silhouette was classic enough to feel timeless yet modern enough to feel current and relevant. Most importantly, the dress clearly made Catherine feel confident and comfortable, which translated into some of her most relaxed and genuine public appearances. The impact of Catherine's yellow dress extended far beyond the tennis courts. Fashion retailers reported immediate interest in similar yellow pieces, with many customers specifically requesting Catherine yellow when shopping for special occasion wear. The success of the look encouraged other royal family members and public figures to experiment more boldly with color, leading to a general brightening of formal wear palettes across the fashion spectrum. Social media responses to the yellow dress were overwhelmingly positive, with fashion bloggers and royal watchers praising Catherine's fearless approach to color and her ability to look both appropriately royal and genuinely joyful. The dress inspired countless styling tutorials and shopping guides, as women around the world sought to capture some of Catherine's sunshine radiance for their own special occasions. The yellow Roxanda dress represented more than just a beautiful garment. It embodied Catherine's evolution into a confident, style-conscious princess who understood that fashion could be a force for positivity and joy. In choosing to wear sunshine yellow to one of tennis's most important days, she created a moment of pure visual pleasure that elevated the entire experience for everyone present. The dress proved that sometimes the most powerful fashion statements are those that simply make people smile. And, in that regard, Catherine's yellow moment was an unqualified triumph that would be remembered long after the tennis scores were forgotten. The story of Catherine's most unexpected and transformative Wimbledon fashion moment begins not with a dress, but with a blazer. In 2023, as the tennis world emerged from years of pandemic-altered tournaments and reduced crowds, Catherine made a choice that would completely redefine what royal tennis attire could look like. The mint green Balmain blazer she chose for her first appearance that year represented such a departure from traditional expectations that it sent shockwaves through both fashion and royal watching communities, proving that sometimes the most revolutionary choices are those that seem the most effortlessly simple. The blazer in question was a 1980s-inspired creation by the French luxury house Balmain, a brand not typically associated with royal wardrobes, but perfectly suited to Catherine's increasingly confident approach to fashion. The piece featured contrasting buttons and lapels that created visual interest while maintaining the structured sophistication that royal protocol demanded. The mint green color was perhaps the most inspired choice of all, representing a shade that felt both fresh and nostalgic, contemporary and timeless, all at the same time. What made this particular outfit so revolutionary was how Catherine chose to style the blazer. Rather than pairing it with a matching skirt or traditional formal separates, she tucked a simple white t-shirt into a crisp white pleated midi skirt, creating a look that was simultaneously polished and approachable. This combination of high-end designer pieces with more accessible styling choices sent a powerful message about modern royal fashion and its potential to bridge the gap between formal requirements and everyday relatability. The decision to wear a blazer to Wimbledon was itself noteworthy. While jackets and blazers had appeared in royal wardrobes before, they were typically reserved for cooler weather or more formal occasions. Catherine's choice to wear a structured blazer to a summer tennis tournament challenged conventional wisdom about seasonal dressing and showed how the right piece could create impact regardless of traditional timing expectations. The mint green color made the choice feel fresh and appropriate for the season, while the structured tailoring maintained the formality that her position required. The styling details of this outfit revealed Catherine's sophisticated understanding of how accessories could transform a look. She wore pearl droplet earrings that added a classic royal touch without competing with the blazer's bold color and modern silhouette. Her hair was styled in a way that complemented the blazer's structured lines while remaining soft and feminine. The overall effect was one of effortless authority, as if Catherine had discovered the perfect balance between royal tradition and contemporary style innovation. Perhaps most importantly, the mint green blazer represented Catherine's growing confidence in her role as a fashion influencer with the power to reshape expectations. By choosing such an unconventional piece for one of her most high-profile appearances, she demonstrated that royal fashion could be experimental and forward-thinking while still respecting protocol and tradition. This was a future queen who was unafraid to take calculated risks and trust her own fashion instincts. The practical aspects of the blazer choice also deserved recognition. The structured tailoring provided coverage and formality that was appropriate for the royal box, while the mint green color was fresh and photography-friendly under the intense media scrutiny that accompanied every royal appearance. The blazer could easily be removed if the weather became too warm, providing flexibility that a dress might not have offered. These practical considerations showed Catherine's thoughtful approach to dressing for long public appearances. The mint green color itself was particularly significant in the context of Wimbledon's visual landscape. The shade harmonized beautifully with the famous grass courts while providing enough contrast to ensure Catherine stood out in crowd shots and media coverage. The color also photographed beautifully against the traditional whites and navy blues worn by other spectators in the royal box, creating a sophisticated color palette that felt both intentional and effortless. Fashion critics immediately recognized the blazer as a game-changing moment in royal style. The piece combined high fashion credibility with practical wearability, showed respect for royal traditions while embracing contemporary trends, and demonstrated how a single, well-chosen garment could completely transform perceptions about appropriate royal attire. The styling choices showed Catherine's evolution from someone who followed royal fashion rules to someone who was actively rewriting them. The impact of the mint green blazer extended far beyond its initial appearance. Fashion retailers reported immediate interest in similar structured blazers in fresh, unexpected colors. The look inspired countless workplace styling tutorials as women sought to recreate Catherine's perfect balance of authority and approachability for their own professional wardrobes. The outfit proved that royal fashion could provide practical inspiration for everyday dressing while maintaining its aspirational appeal. The success of this outfit also demonstrated Catherine's growing understanding of fashion as a communication tool. The choice to wear such a contemporary, fashion-forward piece to a traditional sporting event sent clear messages about her vision for modern royal style. She was showing the world that royal fashion could evolve and adapt while maintaining its essential dignity and appropriateness. This was particularly important as Catherine prepared for her future role as queen, when her fashion choices would carry even greater symbolic weight. What made the mint green blazer truly revolutionary was how it redefined the parameters of what royal tennis attire could include. Previous royal Wimbledon appearances had largely featured dresses, establishing an unspoken uniform that Catherine completely disrupted with her blazer choice. By proving that separates could be just as elegant and appropriate as dresses, she opened up entirely new possibilities for future royal tennis appearances and challenged other royals to think more creatively about their own sporting event wardrobes. The mint green Balmain blazer also represented Catherine's commitment to supporting diverse fashion houses and designers. While she had built strong relationships with certain British designers, her choice to wear French luxury brand Balmain showed her appreciation for international fashion talent and her understanding that royal wardrobes could serve diplomatic purposes by showcasing appreciation for different countries' design industries. Years later, fashion historians would cite the mint green blazer as a pivotal moment in the evolution of royal fashion. It marked the emergence of a princess who understood that tradition and innovation could coexist beautifully, and who was willing to use her platform to expand definitions of appropriate royal attire. Most importantly, It showed that the most memorable fashion moments often come not from following established rules, but from having the confidence to write new ones. The mint green masterpiece proved that royal fashion at its best was about more than just looking appropriate. It was about creating moments that inspired people to think differently about style, tradition, and the possibilities that emerged when confidence met creativity. In wearing that blazer to Wimbledon, Catherine had done more than just get dressed for a tennis tournament. She had redefined what royal tennis style could be, inspiring a generation of women to embrace both structure and playfulness in their own approach to dressing for important moments.